Fashion, a topic that dates back to the 19th century by a man named Charles Frederick Worth, who was the first designer to have his label sewn into his garments and has now become the multi-billion-dollar global industry we know today, with famous celebrities taking parts in events like the Met Gala to show off beautiful designer pieces, or even the way everyday individuals create fashion blogs on social media. We cannot deny the existence of fashion and its major impact on society. However, how does gender tie into this topic? One way that many individuals perform their gender, which is the idea of gender as an act, is commonly performed and practiced through fashion. For example, I commonly perform my gender by wearing dresses or putting on makeup or wearing the color pink, which is a commonly associated girl term with the idea that women will buy anything that is pink or small, commonly referred to as the pinket and trinket method. Another way I perform my gender is through my actions and language. My actions I possess fall into stereotypical gender conformity roles, or the extent to which men and women conform to stereotypical behavior and interests. I enjoy activities commonly associated with femininity, like baking, gardening, and painting, and the way I speak is often referred to as sweet, soft-spoken, and gentle, which are terms and phrases commonly associated with females. Lastly, I perform my gender through my studies here at Texas A&M University. I'm currently an allied health major with hopes and desires of being accepted into the Aggie nursing program here at Texas A&M University. This would be a way that I perform my gender, as nursing is seen as a pink-collar job, or someone who works in a care-oriented job. These jobs are commonly seen as female-oriented jobs and are a great example of occupational segregation, or the way that different races or genders work different jobs. Even though these ways are very feminine and fit into gender norms, it's okay to boldly claim our feminism, whether we enjoy it or like goes with or against gender norms, because at the end of the day, it's what makes us happy. There are a multitude of ways that I try to challenge the patriarchy of gender, which is the social system where males hold primary power and dominate in roles of leadership, social privilege, and control of property. A few ways I challenge these traditional presentations of gender would be through my fashion, actions, and my interests. Growing up as a mixed-race, able-bodied Christian living in a primarily upper-class conservative town, I was told to dress like a girl, which meant to wear skirts, dresses, and more feminine colors like pinks and purples. However, I commonly challenge the traditional presentation by wearing pants at church and wearing neutral colors commonly associated with masculinity. My actions also challenge the traditional presentation of gender, as I love sports. Sports positions are commonly held by all men, players, coaches, and general managers. However, my whole life I challenged these stereotypes by playing in sports since the age of 2 and refereeing in club sports for youth. Another way is through my interests. I love science and STEM-related courses, which is commonly associated to be a male-dominated interest. We saw an example of this within the lecture when Dr. Hernandez discussed the Matilda effect, or the denial of contribution of women scientists. Often women are not accredited with their work within the science field, as it is seen as a male's field. We are often told you can have ambition but not too much within the scientific field, as the males are supposed to be the breadwinners within the STEM field. One thing is the younger generation and my religion. Growing up, I always worked with children of all ages in youth group settings, nannying, sports. I was always surrounded by kids. The future of our world is in the hands of the next generation. I think it's important we recognize the consequences of how we raise our children. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie describes it perfectly when she states, "We must raise our daughters differently, and we must raise our sons differently." The way we raise our children to understand that they are allowed to have interests and likes outside of their gender-specific norms, or the accepted ways of doing things or carrying out ideas. The more accepting they will be towards their peers who have interests outside of their gender-specific norms. Feminist Bell Hook explains the importance that all children, including boys, need healthy self-esteem and love. And this can start with accepting our children and teaching them to accept others. My religion is also a way that motivates me to perform the way I do. I was raised Christian and try to live my life to one that aligns with Christian values and beliefs. Dr. Hernandez stated within his lecture the importance of empathy and how to adjust our mentality. We need to work on empathy. One way I do this is through my religion, as empathy is a common theme found within the Bible. Now that I have been made aware of the water, I do think some aspects of my life will change. However, most will stay the same, as I consider most of what I do in my life regarding my behaviors, actions, the way I dress and speak to all be normal, natural, right, and good within my own life. They bring me happiness and a sense of purpose. However, I think being more aware of the water and how often I tend to stick towards more feminine ways will make me reflect and see how I can acknowledge that the patriarchy exists and how living in a world built for men has deadly consequences, and find the common ground with others who may not acknowledge that, and try to speak up and take action for those who offer an idea that isn't acknowledged. I will repeat and give them credit for suggesting.
Hi, my name is Sophia Medina. I'm a mixed-race, able-bodied Christian woman. And who do I have over here?
My name is Ashley Pearson. I'm a straight, white, able-bodied Christian woman.
My name is Taylor Parsons, and I'm also a straight, white, able-bodied Christian woman.
Okay, what is one way that you perform your gender?
I perform my gender in my career choice in my schooling, because I went for the more traditional way that you see, at least from like a conservative area of town. But I chose nursing, which a lot of women are typically in that field, and there's not a lot of men in my classes, so you can see that it's majority like females going that way.
I think I perform my gender through the way that I present myself. I have long hair, I wear really girly clothes like skirts and like short shirts, and I think that I really perform my gender through the clothes that I choose to wear every day, especially in the way that femininity is defined in our society.
Okay, good. And how is it that you came to perform in that specific way?
I came across to perform, I guess, nursing, you could say, because, like I said, I came from like a traditional conservative town where there's typically a lot of women working in the hospitals. My mom worked in a hospital, and my dad worked more of like an office job. So I just grew up with that idea. So that's why I went with the health route.
Yeah, my mom always dressed me up in really feminine clothes when I was little, really girly things, tutus, bows. And growing up, I really just enjoyed presenting myself that way, and I felt like it really represented who I was, maybe because that's always how I've been presented.
Great.
Both my interviewees discussed different ways in which they perform their gender. However, both my interviewees had similar answers to the personal interview questions I spoke on previously. My first interviewee stated that the way she performed her gender was through her major pre-nursing. She stated how most of her classes were mainly female-dominated. This was due to the fact that nursing, like I stated previously, is a pink-collar job, or someone who works in a care-dominated job. My other interviewee expressed how she performs her gender through her fashion and her outwardly appearance. These traits that she stated about her fashion are something socialized and not actually innate to womanhood. Even my interviewee expressed this point when she said that most of her outfit choices, like dressing in skirts and dresses, and how femininity is defined among modern-day society. Again, when answering this question, both my interviewees had similar responses, and they both still did relate to some of my answers I answered within my personal interview. My first interviewee discussed how she wanted to be a nurse, and as her mom had worked in a hospital and her dad had worked in an office job, growing up her version of what was normal, natural, right, and good for her own family. My first interviewee also stated how religion had a major impact on the way she chose what to study, as many women in her church were nurses. My other interviewee expressed how her mother had often dressed her up from a young age in clothes that were gender specific to girls. As she grew up, she continued to wear these clothes that were more commonly associated with women and grew to like them. Both my interviewees shared how their family members influenced many of the ways they perform their gender. This shows how important families can be in the way we view ourselves and our gender expression, or how you feel on the inside. This related to my responses when I talked about my fashion choices and how I wear what I wear because it makes me feel good, and I like how it looks, and also the influence of my church and the people within it and how I perform my gender.